The price of protection. Dr. Sarah Chen stared through the crystalline viewport of Orbital Station Gamma 7, watching another Centaurian collection vessel dock with its characteristic purple energy signature. The massive ship's holds would soon be filled with Earth's resources, precious metals, rare minerals, and the mysterious element known as nexite that humanity had synthesized according to their protector's specifications. 27 years of protection. 27 years of carefully measured submission. 27 years of watching humanity's resources drain away into Centaurian holds while they told themselves it was worth it for the security their advanced alien allies provided. Sarah's hand tightened around the data crystal in her pocket. If her calculations were correct, everything was about to change. Dr. Chen, the artificial intelligence's voice interrupted her thoughts. Admiral Zhang is requesting your presence in Lab Complex Beta. Thank you, Araya. Sarah took one last look at the Centaurian vessel. Tell him I'm on my way. The transit tubes carried her swiftly through the station's arterial network. Other scientists and technicians nodded respectfully as she passed. At 32, she was the youngest division chief in the station's history, though few knew the real reason for her rapid rise through the ranks. Admiral James Zhang waited in the secure laboratory, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. At 70, he was one of the few who remembered Earth before the Centaurians arrived, before the mysterious signals that had warned of the approaching void hunters, ancient cosmic predators that devoured civilizations whole. Is it done? He asked without preamble. Sarah withdrew the data crystal. Final simulation results. We've achieved full quantum coherence at macroscopic scales. The containment field is stable. Zhang's expression remained neutral, but his eyes sparkled. Show me. Sarah inserted the crystal into the lab's main console. The holographic display exploded into life, showing a complex lattice of interweaving energy fields and quantum states. To most observers, it would look like abstract art. To those who knew what to look for, it was revolution given form. The Centaurians think we're still struggling with basic quantum engineering, Sarah explained. They believe the nexate they demand from us is the product of trial and error, of following their carefully restricted instructions. They have no idea we've completely reversed engineered the process. More importantly, they don't know what we've learned from it. Zhang nodded slowly. And the power requirements. That's the beautiful part. Sarah manipulated the display, showing energy flow diagrams. It's self-sustaining once initiated. The quantum cascade effect creates a perpetual energy loop, contained and directed by the field geometry. In theory, it could run for centuries. In theory? Sarah allowed herself a small smile. In practice, too. We've had a prototype running in Lab Complex Delta for the past 6 months. Disguised as a standard power regulation node, the Centaurian inspectors walk past it every week. Zhang's eyebrows rose slightly, high praise from the usually stoic admiral. And you're certain they can't detect it? The quantum signature is masked by the normal background radiation of the station. As far as their sensors are concerned, it doesn't exist. Sarah paused. We're ready, sir. The production facilities are in place, disguised as mineral processing plants. We can begin full-scale manufacturing whenever you give the word. Zhang turned to stare out the lab's viewport. Below them, Earth hung like a blue jewel in the void. 27 years, he murmured. They came offering protection from the void hunters, offering to shield us with their advanced technology. And the price seemed fair at first. Resources, labor, scientific cooperation. But every year the demands grew. Every year they took more, gave less, treated us more like servants than allies. They never expected us to surpass them, Sarah said quietly. They saw us as primitives, barely worth notice except for our ability to follow instructions and provide raw materials. They thought they could keep us dependent forever. And now? Sarah's voice hardened. Now we have quantum shield technology that surpasses anything in their arsenal. We can protect ourselves not just from the Void Hunters, but from them as well. More importantly, we can protect others. Zhang turned back to her. You understand what you're proposing. If we reveal this capability, if we break the protection treaty, there will be consequences. The Centaurians won't simply accept that their servant race has secretly developed technology beyond their own. No, Sarah agreed. They won't. But they're not the only power in the galaxy. The Arcturus Confederation has been seeking ways to break the Centaurian monopoly on protection services for centuries. The free worlds of Vega would back anyone who could offer them a path to true independence. And the Orion League, she smiled. Well, let's just say I've had some interesting unofficial conversations with their representatives. Zhang's eyes narrowed. You've already been making arrangements. Contingency plans only, sir. Nothing binding. But the groundwork is laid, if we choose to use it. The Admiral was silent for a long moment, studying the quantum field diagrams still rotating in the holographic display. Finally, he spoke. Your parents were among the first wave of scientists to work with Centaurian technology, weren't they? Sarah nodded, surprised by the seeming non sequitur. They died in the Perseus incident. The official report said it was a laboratory accident. But you never believed that. No, sir. They were getting close to a breakthrough in quantum field theory. Too close, I think. The Centaurians couldn't allow that. Zhang's face softened slightly. And now their daughter has succeeded where they failed. They taught me to be careful, sir, to play the long game, to hide my true capabilities behind a mask of eager submission. Sarah's voice was steady, but her eyes burned. Everything I've done, every promotion, every project, every seemingly brilliant but ultimately safe innovation has been leading to this moment. The Admiral was silent again, but this time his gaze was fixed on her rather than the displays. Finally, he straightened, his bearing shifting subtly from concerned mentor to commanding officer. Prepare a full briefing package, he ordered. I want everything. The technical specifications, the production capabilities, the diplomatic groundwork you've laid. In 1 week, I'm convening a closed session of the Defense Council. If they approve, he paused. If they approve, humanity stops playing servant and starts reshaping the galaxy. Sarah came to attention. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As she turned to leave, Zhang spoke again. Dr. Chen, your parents would be proud. She didn't turn back, but her voice was thick with emotion. I know, sir. That's why we have to succeed. Not just for them, but for everyone who suffered under Centaurian protection. It's time for humanity to protect itself, and anyone else who wants to stand with us. The door slid shut behind her, leaving Zhang alone with the gently rotating quantum field diagrams. He studied them for a long moment, then spoke quietly to the empty room. So it begins. Somewhere above, the Centaurian collection vessel continued its routine loading operation, its crew completely unaware that their comfortable position of power was about to be upended by the very beings they'd thought safely under their control. The price of protection was about to change, and the galaxy would never be the same, hidden in plain sight. The Centaurian High Inspector's crystalline form caught the artificial light as he strode through Lab Complex Beta, his escort of human security personnel struggling to keep pace with his long strides. Behind him, his 2 junior inspectors methodically scanned every surface, every device, their sensory arrays humming with activity. Your quarterly production of Nexite is below expected parameters, Station Chief Roberts. The High Inspector's translated voice rang with disapproval. The Protectorate Agreement clearly stipulates. With respect, High Inspector Vorax. Station Chief Emma Roberts interrupted, her voice carefully neutral. Our production has remained consistent with previous quarters. What's changed is your demand. Vorax's crystalline form shifted colors, indicating irritation. The demands of protection evolve as threats grow. Station Chief. The Void Hunters' activities have increased along the Perseus arm. Additional resources are required to maintain the shield network. Emma fought to keep her expression neutral, knowing that Dr. Chen and her team were watching this interaction through the station's security feeds. Everything had to appear normal. Just another routine inspection, another day of humanity playing their assigned role. Of course, Hi, Inspector. We understand the importance of the SHIELD network. Emma gestured to a nearby console. If you'll review our production logs, you'll see we're operating at maximum efficiency given our current technology level. The last 3 words were carefully chosen. Their current technology level, as assessed and restricted by the Centaurians, was a carefully maintained fiction, one that would soon be shattered. Vorax moved to the console, his crystalline appendages interfacing with the human technology through his adaptation field. Your efficiency metrics are indeed at expected levels, he admitted reluctantly. However, this does not change the Protectorate's requirements. You will need to expand your production facilities. That would require additional resources and equipment we don't currently have, Emma pointed out, unless the Protectorate is willing to provide. The Protectorate provides protection, Station Chief. The means of meeting your obligations remain your responsibility. Vorax's form shifted to a deeper blue. Perhaps if your species had not squandered so much time and resources on unnecessary projects. He gestured dismissively at a nearby research station, where scientists were apparently studying basic particle physics. In reality, it was one of Dr. Chen's quantum field monitoring stations, disguised as primitive research equipment. We pursue knowledge within the boundaries set by the Protectorate Agreement, Emma said smoothly. Nothing more. Vorax made a sound that his translator didn't bother to convert. See that it remained so. The consequences of exceeding those boundaries would be unfortunate. As if to punctuate his threat, a distant alarm began to sound. Emma's comm unit chirped immediately. Station Chief, a controlled voice reported, we're detecting unusual energy readings from collection vessel Gamma 3. Their power core appears to be destabilizing. Vorax's color shifted to alarm red. Impossible. Our vessels do not experience such failures. Emma was already moving. Emergency protocols are in effect. Hi, Inspector. Please follow emergency route Delta to the designated safe zone. My security team will escort you. I will inspect the vessel myself, Vorax declared. This is Centaurian technology. With respect, sir, human lives are at risk. Either follow safety protocols or I'll have you forcibly evacuated under Section 7 of the agreement. The High Inspector's form rippled with indignation, but the station's klaxons were growing louder. Ultimately, he allowed himself to be led away, his junior inspectors trailing behind. As soon as they were gone, Emma touched her concealed comm unit. Chen, tell me this is you. Right on schedule. Sarah's voice was calm. The power core destabilization is real, but contained. Exactly as planned. The evacuation. Proceeding perfectly. All non-essential personnel are clearing the affected sectors. Our teams are moving into position. Emma watched on nearby monitors as the Centaurian collection vessel's crew abandoned ship, evacuating to designated safe zones. In the chaos, no one noticed the small teams of human technicians moving through restricted areas, their emergency equipment, concealing something far more interesting. Time to completion. 20 minutes. The quantum field matrix is already integrating with their systems. By the time they realize what's happening, we'll have complete control of their vessel and all its technology. Emma allowed herself a small smile. And then we show them exactly what humanity has been doing with all those unnecessary projects. How long until the High Inspector demands to return to his ship? Knowing Vorax, 10 minutes at most. He's not going to like being kept from his vessel. Good. Sarah's voice held a hint of satisfaction. That should give us just enough time to download their entire technical database and plant our quantum field generators. When they try to take punitive action against the station, they'll find out their weapons don't work quite the way they expect. Emma finished. What about the other facilities? All proceeding according to plan. Humanity's various research stations, mining outposts, and primitive shipyards are about to reveal their true capabilities. In perfect synchronization, Emma watched as another group of her crew members moved purposefully through the chaos, carrying equipment that would help reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. Your parents would be proud, Sarah. A moment of silence. They deserve to see this. They will. Through what we do next. Emma straightened as her comm unit signaled again. Vorax is already demanding to return to his ship. Right on schedule. Perfect. Maintain course. The next few hours are critical. Understood. Emma took a deep breath, then switched to her official channel. Security, please escort the High Inspector to Emergency Command. We need to discuss the situation. As she moved to meet with Vorax, Emma caught her reflection in a nearby panel. She allowed herself one more small smile. The Centaurians were about to learn a very important lesson about underestimating humans. And this was just the beginning. Above them, hidden quantum fields were slowly taking control of the collection vessel systems, while similar scenes played out across human space. Decades of preparation, of hiding their true capabilities behind a mask of submission, were about to pay off. The price of protection was about to change. And this time, humanity would be the one setting the terms. The tables turn. High Inspector Vorax's crystalline form pulsed with rage-red light as he stormed into emergency command, his security escort struggling to maintain formation around him. Station Chief Roberts stood calmly at the central console, surrounded by displays showing the supposedly malfunctioning collection vessel. This delay is unacceptable. Vorax's translated voice boomed. My vessel requires immediate inspection. Your primitive containment protocols are unnecessary for. He stopped abruptly as new alerts flashed across the displays. Similar reports were streaming in from across human space. Collection vessels, monitoring stations, and Centaurian outposts all reporting critical system failures. What is the meaning of this? Vorax demanded, his form shifting through patterns of alarm and suspicion. Emma Roberts smiled, dropping the carefully maintained mask of submission she'd worn for so long. I believe, High Inspector, that humanity is exercising Section 12.7 of the Protectorate Agreement. Section 12.7. Vorax's translator seemed to struggle with his tone. The emergency provision for technological parity. Absurd. Your species lacks the capability to do this. The command center's lights shifted, and suddenly the air was filled with a complex lattice of quantum energy fields, visible to the naked eye. Vorax's junior inspectors recoiled, their sensory arrays overloading. Impossible, Vorax whispered. This is advanced Class 7 technology. You cannot. Dr. Sarah Chen's voice came from the doorway as she entered, holding what looked like a simple data pad. Cannot understand it. Cannot develop it. Cannot hide it from your inspections for decades while you dismissed us as primitive labor. Vorax's form crystallized into sharp, aggressive angles. You dare. We dare quite a lot, actually. Sarah cut him off, her voice hard. Would you like to see what else we dare? She tapped her pad, and the quantum fields surrounding them pulsed. Immediately, Vorax and his junior inspectors found themselves unable to move, their crystalline forms held in place by forces they couldn't comprehend. Quantum containment fields, Sarah explained casually. Perfectly tuned to Centaurian physiology. We've had decades to study you, after all. While you were busy treating us as servants, we were learning everything about your species, your technology, your weaknesses. This is an act of war, Vorax grated. The Protectorate will. Will what? Admiral Zhang's voice cut through the room as he entered, his formal uniform gleaming. Send your fleet. They're currently experiencing some technical difficulties. On the displays around them, reports continued to stream in. Centaurian vessels across human space were being systematically disabled by mysterious quantum field failures. Their weapons were offline, their engines dead in space. You see, High Inspector, Zhang continued. While you were focused on controlling our official technology development, you missed something crucial about human nature. We don't like being controlled. We don't like being treated as inferiors. And we're very, very good at finding ways around restrictions. The Void Hunters, Vorax protested, without our protection. Sarah laughed, the sound sharp and without humor. You mean the threat you've used to keep us dependent for nearly 3 decades? Let me show you something interesting. She tapped her pad again, and new holographic displays sprang to life, showing massive structures hidden in various parts of human space. Quantum field generators on a scale that made Vorax's form pale to transparent. We don't need your protection anymore, Sarah stated. In fact, we haven't needed it for years. Those Void Hunter attacks that mysteriously failed near human space. That wasn't your shield network, it was ours. Impossible, Vorax whispered again, but there was fear in his translated voice now. Humanity, Zhang spoke formally, hereby announces its independence from the Centaurian Protectorate, as is our right under Section 12.7 of the Agreement upon achieving technological parity. Furthermore, his voice hardened, we are preparing to present evidence to the Galactic Council of systematic Centaurian violations of the agreement's terms. You would not dare. Vorax's form flickered with patterns of threat and fear. The political consequences are already being handled. Emma cut in. The Arcturus Confederation has already expressed interest in our quantum shield technology. The free worlds of Vega are eager to discuss mutual defense agreements. Even the Orion League is reconsidering its traditional neutrality. In short, Sarah stepped closer to the immobilized High Inspector. Humanity is done being your servant race. We're done mining resources for you. We're done pretending to be primitive, and we're definitely done letting you threaten us. Vorax's form pulsed with patterns that his translator couldn't or wouldn't convert. When he finally spoke again, his voice was different. Careful. What do you want? Want? Sarah smiled. We want what we've earned. Equal status in the galactic community. Recognition of our technological achievements. And, her voice turned hard, reparations for 3 decades of exploitation. The Protectorate will never agree, Vorax declared. They will, Zhang stated confidently, because the alternative is watching their entire defense industry collapse as we offer superior protection technology to their client worlds. How long do you think your power will last when everyone realizes they don't need you anymore? Emma stepped forward. You have a choice, High Inspector. You can help facilitate a peaceful transition to a new relationship between our peoples, or you can resist and watch everything your species has built crumble around you. Choose carefully. The displays continued to stream reports of disabled Centaurian ships and failing systems. In the distance, alerts were still sounding, but they were different now. The sound of humanity throwing off its chains, of a species reclaiming its destiny. Vorax's form shifted through complex patterns before settling into the crystalline equivalent of resignation. I will convey your terms to the Protectorate Council. Good, Sarah nodded. Oh, and one more thing. She tapped her pad again, and the quantum containment field released the Centaurians. The next time you dismiss a species as primitive, remember this day. Remember how completely we deceived you, and remember what it cost you to underestimate humanity. As Vorax and his inspectors were escorted out, Zhang turned to Sarah and Emma. Phase 1 is complete. Are we ready for Phase 2? Both women nodded. Around them, humanity's hidden strength continued to reveal itself across the galaxy, and the balance of power shifted with each passing moment. The price of protection had changed, and the galaxy would never be the same. A new dawn. The Galactic Council's emergency session chamber hummed with tension. Representatives from 100 species filled the vast amphitheater, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. At the center podium, Dr. Sarah Chen stood calm and composed, despite being the focus of so much attention. The evidence is undeniable. The Arcturian representative's melodious voice echoed through the chamber. Their bioluminescent tendrils pulsed with patterns of excitement. Humanity has not only achieved technological parity with the Centaurian Protectorate, but has, in many ways, surpassed them. The vegan collective's crystalline matrix sparkled as they added their own thoughts. Our analysis confirms that the human quantum shield technology represents a significant advancement over existing protective systems. The implications for galactic security are substantial. From their position in the accused section, the Centaurian delegation remained rigidly still, their forms locked in patterns of barely contained rage. High Inspector Vorax had been recalled, replaced by Supreme Commander Zix, whose reputation for ruthlessness was well known throughout the galaxy. This council cannot seriously be considering validating this deception. Zix's translated voice boomed. Humanity violated the terms of their protection agreement by developing restricted technologies in secret. Actually, Emma Roberts stepped forward, now wearing the formal uniform of Earth's newly declared independent government. We did nothing of the sort. If you'll examine Section 5.3 of the agreement, you'll find that restrictions only applied to technologies directly shared by the Protectorate. Everything we developed independently. Impossible. Zix's form flashed with patterns of accusation. You could not have advanced so quickly without. Without what? Sarah interrupted, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. Without your guidance, without your permission. The fact that you still believe that shows how completely you misunderstood humanity. She gestured, and holographic displays materialized throughout the chamber, showing the history of human advancement over the past 3 decades. But not the official history, the real one, hidden behind a mask of compliance. While we played the role you expected, Sarah explained, while we mined your resources and followed your restricted development paths, we were learning, not just about technology, but about you, about how your society works, about your assumptions, your blind spots, and yes, about your weaknesses. The displays showed human scientists working in secret facilities, hidden quantum field generators being tested, and the gradual spread of humanity's true technological network throughout their space. More importantly, Emma added, we were building relationships. Many of you here today already know about our unofficial contacts, our quiet discussions about a post-protectorate galaxy. Some of you have already seen demonstrations of our quantum shield technology. Murmurs spread through the chamber as various representatives shifted uncomfortably. The Centaurian delegation's color patterns became increasingly agitated. This is the real deception, Zix declared. You have been conspiring against the Protectorate, undermining galactic stability. We have been preparing for this day. Admiral Zhang's voice cut through the chamber as he entered, his formal uniform now bearing the insignia of Earth's new defense force. The day when humanity would take its rightful place among the galactic community, not as servants, not as protected children, but as equals. He moved to stand beside Sarah and Emma, his presence adding weight to their words. The question before this council is not whether humanity deceived the Protectorate. The question is whether the Protectorate's system of enforced dependency and technological restriction can be allowed to continue. The Orion League representative, traditionally neutral in galactic politics, raised their environmental field. Earth presents a compelling case. The quantum shield technology alone represents a significant shift in the balance of power, but there are broader implications to consider. Indeed, the Arcturian representative agreed. If one species could develop such advanced technology in secret, while under Protectorate restrictions, they left the thought unfinished, but its impact rippled through the chamber. Sarah stepped forward again. We are not here to destroy the Protectorate. We are here to transform it, to replace a system of dependency with one of true cooperation, to offer real protection without the price of submission. She gestured, and new displays appeared, showing the specifications of humanity's quantum shield network. We are prepared to share this technology with any world that wishes to be truly independent. We are prepared to help establish a new galactic defense network, one controlled not by a single power, but by all species working together. And if we refuse? Zix demanded. If the Protectorate chooses to defend its legitimate interests. Emma's voice was cold. Then you will find your ships unable to move, your weapons unable to fire, and your client worlds very interested in alternative protection arrangements. We didn't reveal our capabilities until we were certain of our position. Supreme Commander. That was another lesson we learned from you. The chamber erupted in discussion, representatives forming quickly shifting alliances as they debated the implications. Through it all, Sarah, Emma, and Zhang stood calmly at the center, watching as the galaxy reshaped itself around humanity's revelation. In the accused section, Supreme Commander Zix's form had frozen into a pattern that the most experienced sinologists would recognize as despair. The Centaurian Protectorate's age of unchallenged dominance was ending, not with a battle, but with the quiet revelation of human ingenuity. The Council will recess for deliberation, the Chief Administrator announced. But first, a preliminary vote on humanity's petition for recognition as an independent technological power. As the votes began to register on the grand display, Sarah felt Emma's hand squeeze her shoulder. Around them, the future of the galaxy was being decided, and humanity was at the center of it all. The price of protection had not just changed, it had been completely redefined. And this was only the beginning. Legacy of Stars. 3 months after humanity's revelation to the Galactic Council, the view from Earth's orbital command center had changed dramatically. Where once Centaurian collection vessels had dominated the spaceways, now ships from dozens of species filled the lanes, their designs as varied as their civilizations. Most carried diplomatic delegations or technical teams, all eager to work with humanity's revolutionary quantum shield technology. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her familiar viewport, but this time she wasn't watching alien ships take Earth's resources away. Instead, she observed as human vessels prepared to depart, carrying technical advisors and quantum field generators to worlds that had spent centuries under Centaurian protection. The vegan colony ships just cleared the quantum gate. Admiral Zhang reported as he joined her. Their first independent deep space expedition in 300 years. Sarah nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. And the Centaurian response? Nothing but strongly worded diplomatic protests. Their attempt to mobilize their fleet against the vegan systems failed rather spectacularly when their ships couldn't leave dock. Zhang's weathered face showed a hint of a smile. Apparently, their engineering teams still haven't figured out how we integrated our quantum fields into their propulsion systems. They won't, Emma Roberts added, entering the command center with a stack of data crystals. Not without completely rebuilding their technological base from the ground up. We didn't just hide our advances from them. We fundamentally changed how their technology works. Status report, Zhang asked, turning to face her. Better than expected. 17 former Protectorate worlds have already completed integration of our quantum shield systems. 33 more are in progress. The Arcturus Confederation has officially recognized Earth as their primary defense technology provider, and the Orion League. She paused, allowing herself a small smile. They're dissolving their neutrality agreement with the Protectorate. Sarah turned from the viewport. And the resistance. Emma's expression grew more serious. The hardline Centaurian factions are still causing problems. 3 attempts to sabotage quantum shield installations in the past week. 2 diplomatic missions threatened, and our intelligence suggests they're trying to rally support among other conservative species. Let them try, Zhang said firmly. Every act of aggression just proves why the old system needed to change. A soft chime interrupted them as a holographic display materialized in the center of the command center. It showed a massive structure taking shape in deep space, the first of humanity's new galactic defense platforms. The construction teams report they're ahead of schedule, Sarah noted, studying the readouts. The quantum field matrix is stable, and the Void Hunter early warning system is already operational. Hard to believe, Emma mused, that just a few months ago, We were still pretending to be barely able to understand basic quantum mechanics. Now we're building technology that the Centaurians thought was impossible. Speaking of impossible, Zhang interjected, the Archaeologists finished their analysis of that data you recovered from the Centaurian archives. You were right, Sarah. The Void Hunters aren't a natural phenomenon. Sarah's expression hardened. Their weapons, left over from a war so ancient that even the Centaurians have forgotten it. But they knew enough to use the threat to maintain their power. And now, Emma asked, now we have a real chance to end that threat permanently. Sarah manipulated the holographic display, showing the full planned network of defense platforms, not by hiding behind shields, but by actually understanding and neutralizing the Void Hunters themselves. Zhang nodded slowly. The Council has approved the initiative. Full cooperation between all member species, sharing scientific knowledge and resources, something that would have been impossible under the old system. Because the old system was built on fear and dependency, Emma observed, we're building something different. A new alert caught their attention. Another group of ships arriving through the quantum gate. But these weren't diplomatic vessels or construction ships. These were refugees, fleeing from one of the few remaining Centaurian-controlled sectors. Right on schedule, Sarah said softly. The Protectorate's grip is failing faster than even we predicted. Their client worlds aren't just seeking independence. They're actively rejecting everything the Centaurians built. Not everything, Zhang corrected. Just the system of control and exploitation. The technology, the infrastructure, that can be repurposed, reformed, like we did with their quantum tech. Emma's comm unit chimed. She checked it and smiled. Speaking of reform, the Council just approved the final draft of the Mutual Defense Charter. No more protectors and protected. Every signatory world gets an equal vote in defensive operations and technology development. And the Centaurians? Sarah asked. They're welcome to join, Zhang said firmly. As equals. Nothing more, nothing less. Some of their younger leaders are already advocating for it. Sarah turned back to the viewport, watching as the refugee ships were guided safely into orbit. Each one represented lives freed from dependency, species reclaiming their right to grow and develop on their own terms. My parents believed humanity could be more than servants, she said softly. That we could change the galaxy for the better. I don't think even they imagined how right they were. We did it by being human, Emma replied. By being clever, adaptable, and absolutely unwilling to accept arbitrary limitations, by turning their own assumptions against them, and by remembering what really matters, Zhang added. Not power for its own sake, but the freedom to grow, to learn, to become something more than what others decide we should be. Beyond the viewport, more ships were arriving. Diplomatic vessels, trading ships, cultural exchanges. The lanes between the stars were opening up in ways they hadn't been for centuries. The age of the Protectorate was ending, replaced by something new, something better. Humanity had repaid its debt, but they'd done more than that. They'd shown the galaxy a different way forward, not through force or fear, but through ingenuity, determination, and an unwavering belief in the right of all species to chart their own course among the stars. The price of protection had changed forever, and the legacy of that change would echo through the galaxy for generations to come.